Hello, I'm Richard Boyd, the CEO and founder of UltraSim here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And today I'd like to talk to you about SimState and the simulation century. So, SimState is our proposal for helping improve transparency in democracy and semi-automating, if not fully automating, the fourth estate. All elements we think are really important for democracy. So, uh, for the idea behind the simulation century is that the last century was about the moving image. It was the first time in human history when we could reflect upon recent or current events like the fall of the Berlin Wall or the Vietnam War by reviewing video footage of it. Marshall McLuhan would say that that medium changed us physiologically and changed our societies. I believe, or we believe at Ultisim, that this is a simulation century. So AI and the ability to simulate, not only to predict the future, but also design the future, are critically important skills in this increasingly complex world. So I've been putting on this Simulation Century event for Joint Forces Command since 2012. This will be my 13th year doing that, where we talk about this subject of how to wield the tools of simulation, again, not just to predict, but also to design the future that we want. This is the background of my team, working in computer gaming, working in aerospace, a variety of different technology areas that I believe make us uniquely qualified to have built SimState and to wield that in the service of more transparent and stronger democratic values in our country and around the world. So AI, of course, has been advancing very rapidly, and this is an article that I wrote for Design News a few years ago, where I talked about the various stages. What I'd like to do is direct your attention towards the end, where again, beyond prompt engineering and RPA and a lot of the other knowledge graph sort of virtues of artificial intelligence and machine learning, we believe that applying it to predicting and designing the future is incredibly important. But if you have if you have the data, you've got the models, and you can design towards that, these principles can really inform our policy and our investments and increase the political discourse, the quality of the political discourse that we have around those policies and investments. So years ago, when I was at Lockheed Martin, when Lockheed bought my company, we worked with tools like WarSim, and also a tool called SEAS, which is Synthetic Environment for Analysis and Simulation, which came out of Purdue University. With those tools, we were able to model entire countries. So all of the values, traditions, and qualities of the people, for example, in Afghanistan. And we could do things like, say, if we build a school for girls in Helmand Province, show me the groups of people that will benefit from it, but will also feel very positive towards that activity or that investment. Who's going to be neutral and who's going to be angry about it, and maybe we'll shoot Malala or set the school on fire. Really valuable tools. And we wouldn't just have these simple agent models. There would be thousands of these simulated synthetic population models that would inform our simulation. So fast forward a few years, we partnered with Nielsen and with some other folks to look at things like marketing research and those sorts of applications, where how do you model the values, traditions, and opinions and behaviors of a population of people to do things like, of course, market to them better. But we started immediately thinking about how could you bend that all towards better societal outcomes, like the cessation of smoking, or, of course, better behavior during things like a pandemic. So, with a few CARES Act grants that are informing the work that we're doing today with SimState, we modeled, for example, all of the counties in the state of Washington. And so, for the Department of Commerce, we built a simulator tool where we modeled all of the demographic data, who are the influencers for the different groups of people that live in each of the counties in the state of Washington, and how can we use that to design and predict different policies county by county to get better outcomes from during the pandemic. So this just gives you a high level example of what it looked like. But it was very successful. In fact, we used some of that capability to work towards the data that we received from the X Prize Committee under what was called the Pandemic Response Challenge, where we were a finalist in that challenge. We just didn't finish the last part because we were busy with other things. But working with people like Dr. Richard Carson and UCal San Diego, Dr. Jordan Louvier in the University of Washington, our algorithms and our models of people and who their influencers are and how likely they are to adhere to policies around wearing a mask or safe distancing and movement and that kind of thing could be affected county by county based on who the influencers are and who those people were. And our predictions outperformed like Johns Hopkins and folks like that. So this is a little sim about that.
It's a
I'm not
good
going to
idea.
right now.
It's a good idea.
But the IRS in the US is actually also creating agent-based models of all of us in the United States with the stated purpose of building better tax products for us. But we think, of course, they have other ideas in mind, like looking for fraud and abuse and that sort of thing. But how do we bend this towards better outcomes? And that's what we're really interested in at Ultisim. Um, Years ago, I won a contract with the Pentagon to build this thing called the Virtual World Framework. And that is the sort of visual layer of it where we could reduce the cost for doing large scale simulations for the military. So at SimState, we're taking that component and elements of what we did before with the SEAS, the synthetic environment capability, and combining that together to look at things like policies and investments, county by county, municipality by municipality, state by state, and across the country. And I believe, or we believe strongly, that the political discourse should be one where if you're running for Senate, or you're running for governor of a state, or even president, of course, it should be a conversation about the data, what models you have, and what are the outcomes you're looking to achieve. So what kind of municipality, what kind of city, what kind of state, what kind of country are you trying to build? And whether it's Build Back Better, the CHIPS Act, or tariffs, or whatever activity you're proposing, the citizenry should be able to look at your data and have a conversation about that, look at your models, just like we do with weather prediction, and see what sort of outcomes we're likely to see from that. And this is a very powerful tool for the increasing complexity that we're seeing in our environment today. So our proposal again is SimState. In order to achieve that, we have built all the components and are looking forward to investing further to engage with the citizens of this country and around the world so we can have better data-based, transparent conversations. Thank you for listening.